All right, come here. Let's be honest. Let's be so for real. When it comes to motorcycle gear, most riders see it as a hierarchy of importance, okay? It's just the reality. They'll splurge $1,000 on a showy Arai or AGV helmet, not just for safety or comfort, but because it'll look really cool on Instagram, right? Come on, it's gonna look sick. And most motorcyclists are in agreement of the use of a jacket. Whether it be a full leather Alpine Stars or an armored hoodie, we tend to stay kitted up from the waist up, right? You wear gloves too, obviously. But what about motorcycle pants? Nobody seems to really think about these. You've got the ECE-rated helmet, the gauntlet gloves, and then Old Navy skinny jeans with holes for the knees. Something's not adding up. Motorcycle pants are often the most neglected piece of protective gear, which is kind of crazy to think about it given how much area these things actually cover, and when you go down and hit the pavement, your lower body, particularly your knees and hips, absorb most of the impact and are dragged the longest distance across the ground. Jeans aren't going to offer any protection. At 60 miles an hour, jeans might as well be made of fine Chinese silk. Now, that would be a kick-ass riding jean, wouldn't it? Some nice silk. But instead of just sitting here and saying, you should be wearing motorcycle pants, I am instead going to dive into some of the finer details of this subject that will potentially motivate you to make the right decision on your own. You're a grown-ass person. You can make your own choices. You can think. You can come up with this. I believe and trust in you. Everything you need to know about motorcycle pants. Let's get started. In a lot of crashes on a bike, if you go down, it's not always because of the direct result of a collision. It's a slide that is a result of loss of traction or control. I mean, think about it. A lot of riders careen off a corner, they slide out by themselves, and this slide is what's going to cause your lower extremities to experience a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Abrasion is the enemy of the quadriceps. Denim, even if it's thick denim, lasts about half a second before it burns through on asphalt. And once that denim is gone, your skin is left to slow your slide on the pavement. I don't even like thinking about that. Meanwhile, a good leather or textile pant can hold its own up to 8 seconds or more. That's the difference between walking away and pulling gravel out of your skin for the next 6 months. Your knees and hips are often the first thing to make contact in a slide, which is why the CE-rated pants focus on those impact zones. The armor is meant to absorb the force of the impact, while the outer shell is designed to resist abrasion. It's a two-part defense strategy. You'll find motorcycle pants with CE ratings varying from A, AA, and AAA. No, those are not battery ratings. That's the European Abrasion Resistance Standard, with testing including tear strength and seam strength as well. When classified, each garment is determined to be abrasion resistant up to a certain speed. A CE single A rated garment is meant to be abrasion resistant up to 28 miles per hour. AA is up to 43 miles per hour, and AAA is 75 miles per hour. If you wanted an oversimplification, you can think of it as gear for urban and neighborhood riding, gear for touring, and gear for sporty or aggressive riding in the levels of necessary protection. Motorcycle pants come with armor as well, with CE Level 1 armor being good and CE Level 2 armor being better at absorbing force from impact. Understanding the CE ratings for both abrasion and impact can help you make the gear decisions that are best for the type of riding you do. You probably don't need full leathers to commute to work. It'd be kind of silly to show up to your office job wearing a full leather race suit. I mean, sometimes I would like to do that, but I don't. But you also probably shouldn't be wearing shorts either, right? So, if riding pants are so important, why don't more riders wear them? I feel like every other Instagram squid I see is never wearing real riding pants. I think the first reason is because gear's expensive. And there's a lot of other things you buy first. The $1,000 helmets, the carbon fiber winglets, the Rizoma mirrors, the Farkles, it's never ending. A decent pair of riding pants costs about $300 or more, and it's pretty easy to see someone looking at that on their computer, hovering over the checkout line and being like, jeans are fine, I'll get to it later, whatever. If every rider was given a gear stipend when they purchased their bike that could only be used to purchase gear, more people would probably use actual proper riding pants. But since that's not the case, many would rather spend their money on other things. if they have disposable income to begin with, but that's a topic for a whole other video. The second reason is maybe a little bit more obvious, and it's vanity. Riders like looking cool, and I hate to be that guy, but a lot of riding pants look really stupid when you're off the bike. You got like dirty diaper astronaut looking ass. It's not a good look. It doesn't look good. I think Thought Taken talked about this. He got very self-conscious about his weird dirty diaper butt. I don't know. I have a toddler at home. It looks the same. I gotta admit. But, put a photo up here. You guys can see. For motorcycle gear to work properly, it must fit properly and sit in a certain position. So, in order for armor pieces to sit and stay where they were designed to, motorcycle pants are also pretty slim fit. And newsflash, it's not 2010. We do not need all these light bulb shaped dudes riding around in riding pants that are glorified $500 skinny jeans. You know what I'm talking about, right? Round on top, skinny on the bottom, light bulb people from the early 2010s. You remember, you were there. People will wear more gear if it looks good and comes in varying styles. Luckily, motorcycle pants are heading in the right direction, but more people need to catch on. The third reason is just because of practicality. You can really easily take off your motorcycle jacket when you arrive at your destination, and you're a lot more comfortable. It's a little bit more of a challenge or annoyance swapping pants when you get to the office. If you're commuting or using your motorcycle as basic transportation to get from point A to point B, you want versatile riding gear that allows you to feel comfortable when you arrive at that destination. And bringing an entire change of clothes isn't exactly convenient. And I can attest to this. I've ridden to Yamanoob HQ many times in my very slide-resistant jeans, only to regret them while I wear them the entire day while I'm moving around, because they are generally just like heavier and more cumbersome than regular ass pants. Ass pants? Are all pants ass pants? Who knows? Lastly, there is a sort of hierarchy when it comes to motorcycle gear, and simultaneously, your body parts. Everyone, well, nearly everybody, wears a helmet. You only got one brain. It controls everything in your body. It's very important. It lets you walk, talk, think, and be the person you are. You want to protect that pretty heavily. And then your hands. Everyone wears gloves because if you damage your hands, how will you scroll or goon or work or type or point at things or do anything else? Then you want to protect your feet because without your feet, how are you going to walk? How are you going to dance the night away? How are you going to tiptoe out of the house in the post-coitus afterglow when your stepfather comes home? I mean, come on. But when it comes to your legs, you think of them as strong and robust. It is much more difficult for them to be mangled beyond recognition, unlike your delicate, sweet little baby hands. But those non-riding pants riders must not know that most crash damage actually happens below the waist. Riding pants aren't as sexy as a helmet or a jacket, at least not according to all gray sweatpants wearing helmet talkers. Also, I mean, God, you think denim's not going to do anything? Sweatpants, it might as well be butter that you're wearing. But information's a lot more accessible now, and motorcycle pants have come a long way. The excuses are getting harder and harder to justify the decision to abstain from riding pants. And now that I think of it, a new product category that could dominate the sales would be armored sweatpants. Think about it. Whole new generation of rider out there. You know those shameless Walmart zombie walkers wearing their sweatpants? You could be one of them, but armored. You'll fit right in.
You know, we hear a lot here in America that Europeans just have the best of everything, and after sampling this Honda Hornet CB750, I can't help but agree. What other cool bikes they got over there that we don't get? Come on, this thing is amazing, and it's finally made its way here in North America, and it is a giveaway bike on Yamanoob.co. I was really pumped to get this machine. It features the 755cc parallel twin from Honda. It's a really fun, playful motor, and the best thing I can say about it is that it feels positively un-Honda-like. Head to the link down below on Yamanoob.co. Become a member today to join and get your chances locked and loaded, ready to win this Honda Hornet CB750.
There is no single right pair of motorcycle pants for each person. It depends how and where and why you're riding. So let's take a look at the different types because each one has its place. All right, let's talk about leather. Leather pants are the gold standard for abrasion resistance. If you're riding on the track or pushing the top speed of your bike on the highway in an abandoned place in Mexico, leather is king. It's tough, it holds up, it slides well, and it's just the gold standard. Any experienced track day rider is going to tell you how tough and long-lasting leather gear is. But leather has a lot of drawbacks. It's really hot, they're really heavy, and they're not exactly business casual. Walking around in cowhide isn't the most fun, especially with the way that motorcycle pants are shaped. Like I mentioned before, you get that saggy, butt-dirty diaper look that is not flattering on anybody. But if you're about to do some squid stuff at the canyons and you want to take as few chances as possible, leather pants zipped into a leather jacket is maximum security. A full-blown race suit notwithstanding, which I really do think is overkill for like 99.9% of street riding. Then there's textile riding pants that are less intense than full leather. And while they're still purpose-driven, they're still sporty in style while being a lot more comfortable and versatile. You can think of leather pants as like the true superbike, and textile pants are kind of like an under-stress sport touring machine. They often have more pockets, ventilation zippers, and sometimes even waterproofing. Textile pants will usually be made of some sort of proprietary polyester or nylon material and often zip into corresponding jackets from the same brand. These are definitely easier to implement in your routine than full leather pants, but will still be limited in their off-the-bike functionality. A lot of adventure rider guys wear textile style pants that zip into their whole other systems and all that, so keep that in mind. You can get sporty looking textile pants, but most of these are going to look like kind of like cargo shorts of pants, basically. You know what I'm saying? Side note too, another product category I think could dominate: zip off cargo pant motorcycle pants. Imagine this: you ride to your destination, you're feeling good, you're protected, you get there, zip off the lower part like you're 10 years old again in 2002, and then you go walk around in shorts. Could be good, could be nice. All right, and riding jeans, in my opinion, it's really the sweet spot for everyday motorcycle riding of all kinds. They're made of reinforced fabric like Cordura, Kevlar, or Aramid, or some other crazy proprietary acronym. The point being, they usually look like normal-ass pants, but the fabric is lined and integrated with protective fibers in key areas like the hips, knees, and the seat. Despite looking like jeans, they'll even have pockets with integrated armor. Riding jeans are really great for commuters or anyone who doesn't want to look like a Power Ranger at the office. Brands like Revit, Saint, and Pando Moto make high-quality CE-rated riding jeans that have some of the best abrasion resistance as dedicated textile motorcycle pants. When I'm riding up to the shop or taking my Touareg around hill country, I am usually wearing riding pants. If you guys see me in the videos, I'm usually wearing something from one of the 3 brands I just mentioned. Now, let's talk a little bit more specifically about those ADV pants I mentioned earlier. Like everything in the ADV scene, these pants are a whole different breed. They're meant for people who believe they're crossing continents, even though they rarely leave the county. They're highly functional and dynamic, waterproofing, removing thermal insulation, more pockets than you could ever imagine. They're designed for comfort, durability, and weather protection over long distances. You can kind of think of these pants as they're like going off to war or something. I feel like adventure riders are preparing for a war they will never encounter. That's basically how I view them. You pair them with an ADV jacket and you're looking like G.I. Joe on your GS adventure. Now, it is worth discussing armor a little bit in detail here because it does get a little bit confusing sometimes, as CE garment ratings and CE armor ratings don't always correlate in the way you expect. Knees and hips are the primary points of impact, so that's where you're going to find armor pockets. Armor ratings come in 2 levels. You have CE level 1 and level 2. So level 1 armor transmits a maximum force of 35 kilonewtons, while level 2 transmits less than 20. Okay, so in layman's terms, level 2 spreads out impact better, and that's what you want between your knee and the concrete. It becomes somewhat tricky, though, when a CE AAA garment only has CE level 1 armor. That happens sometimes, and they do that so that they keep costs down or improve the comfort of the product. Because remember, the more protective something is, usually the less comfortable it is too. So it's worth taking note of this, and if armor rating is as important to you as abrasion resistance, it may be worthwhile to consider upgrading the armor used within a jacket or pant. Modern armor materials are super advanced too. It's not like an old school hockey puck stuck on your kneecap anymore. There's armor like D3O. It's flexible, lightweight, and even breathable. They stay soft until they're hit, and then they harden to instantly absorb the impact. Using armor like this makes a huge difference in the comfort and effectiveness of these riding pants. Now, fit is as important as the material because if your armor isn't sitting where it should, it's useless to do its job. It's always best to try on the gear in the riding position, so before you go out on a full ride, just gear up and sit on your bike in the garage and just see if it fits as it should. Just trying it on and looking in the mirror is not going to tell you a whole lot about the fitment. Look for places that riding pants fit snugly and keeping the armor in place, but not being restrictive or uncomfortable. Speaking of fitment, comfort is a huge reason why people choose to forego riding pants. But as I mentioned before, motorcycle gear tech has come a really long way, and there's a lot of pants that are as comfortable as they are protective. There's pants with stretch panels, ventilation, or waterproof materials. It will make a noticeable difference depending on where and how you ride. All right, so let's imagine a hypothetical situation here. You're riding at just 45 miles an hour, nearly a third of the speeds that some of you leader bike squids are seeing on a regular basis, and someone cuts you off. You swerve to avoid them, you lose traction, low side, and slide for 3 seconds. 3 seconds doesn't sound like much, but in that time, you could have traveled 200 feet. In jeans, you'd burn through that denim in less than a second, then your skin in another half second, then muscle. Now, you're not just getting a scrape, you're gonna get a skin graft. Plenty of riders have learned this lesson the hard way. There are many crash-related injuries that could have been prevented by just wearing proper riding gear. Your legs are also a lot more important than you might think. You break a knee or a hip, and you might never ride again or even walk correctly again. Riding pants aren't just protection for your skin and bones, they protect your future as a rider and as a person. Look, this is not the most glamorous topic. No one is probably complimenting your pants at bike night, but they're one of the most important pieces of gear that you're not using. Thousands on a bike, hundreds on a helmet, more on gloves and jacket. Even the cheapest pair of CE-rated riding jeans is a massive step up from the Dickies Works pants you're using right now. And the peace of mind alone is worth it. So do yourself a favor and look into riding pants. There, I've said my piece. Your Papa Yam just wants you to stay safe out there on your bike and enjoy riding. Thanks so much for checking out the video all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. We have a couple links down in the description below so you can check out some pants. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.